The most complicated thing about the Chaos Dwarfs is the economy, and today we are going to go through a perfect 20 turns, but let's assume you've looked at the Chaos Dwarf Mastery Guide, which is coming out probably about a week. I really wanted to make it good, and this will teach you more of the finer tips that you typically only find from either watching advanced players or just from playing enough hours. So here are those top things that you can learn now so you don't have to learn the hard way. Now the big things we're going to focus on are how to maximize your number of slaves, as well as the way to build your provinces in the early game. So how can we get slaves? Well, the easiest way firstly is to fight your battles. Anytime you see the surrender flag on the enemy, that is them running away. If they get downed, that is captive. The difference is enormous. And on the battlefield, so we're going to set our army up. We're going to have our Bull Centaur as well as Astragoth up the very front, and behind them we're going to put these blunderbusses. These guys will set up great targets for our blunderbusses to shred. So how else can we protect them? Let's put a unit of Chaos Dwarf warriors up here to catch anyone that gets too close. Goblin spears on the flanks, and then behind them we're going to have our orcs in reserve, and out here on the flank our Bull Centaurs. Run your Bull Centaurs up the side, and the enemy should square off at you with the best angle they can. So we're going to run these guys out. The idea is when the battle starts, they can charge in and bowl these guys down. So hotkey your characters 1 and 2, and we're going to lob a fireball into these Wolf Riders. If we do that a couple of times, that should aggravate them enough to come to us, and we can use the terrain to our advantage. And here comes the enemy. Now charge in to this unit of archers. Now the most important thing is making sure these blunderbuss units have a nice clear line of sight. You don't want to get them obstructed. Now if they start to flank you, remember you can stretch your units out. Here we are. We've tied that unit up. Now we're going to countercharge with these orcs. Let's pick our targets. Alright, see this? What we're going to do is run into the unit with our lord, and then we're going to charge in with the hero. Excellent. Same deal here. Let's just charge into these Wolf Riders. We should shred them with relative ease. Okay. Now let's charge in, but we don't want to block this unit too badly. Okay, now these guys are running away. This is when we can take them as captives. But first, don't forget about our other units. Let's charge these guys down. Now these Black Orcs are heavily armoured. Make sure you use your blunderbuss units. Now this is a good example here. If we don't have the shots we need, you can reposition your units so you can. So we're going to use this Bull Centaur to hold this guy in place, and we're going to pull the Chaos Dwarfs back here and reposition them, allowing these guys to get the shots they need. Now let's charge them into these Orc boys, and our Chaos Dwarfs will more than hold the line here. They should win this quite decisively. So for post-battle, we managed to get 75 labour, and we'll get 140 from if we choose this victory option, which we will, just to give ourselves a nice head start. When leveling up, I like to go for his magic first. Route Marcher is also a great choice. You can increase your units, but honestly, out the gate, the Chaos Dwarf units are pretty good. Getting magic will give you a bit more flexibility. For your Bull Centaur, always, in my mind, you just can't go past Guardian, which gives you even more physical resistance. So by buffing that and just prioritizing melee defense, you get a hard hitting powerhouse that is also very good at holding the line. Invaluable unit. Just a quick reminder guys, if you are enjoying the video, please consider liking and subscribing, it really helps out. Ask any question in the comments, I answer everything. And if you'd like to talk strategy, feel free to join the Discord. Cheers. So valuable, we're going to do a trick which I love to do, which will get you another one on the field even faster. So simply go to the sorcery research tree here, and we can get in 7 turns another Bull Centaur Torok, and this guy starts with the building to hire it. So we're in a great spot. Let's attack and take this first settlement. Now every single Chaos Dwarf for their first territory needs a factory, an outpost, and the tower. So there's a drill building which will help you get great mileage from having this variety, but soon enough you will want majority outposts, but you also want a few factories as well. They produce armaments, but you can also make them more defensible. So you'll see where we place them will have a large role. Just use the exact same formation as you did last time, sending your Bull Centaurs out to the side, and make sure you target those archers first. Highlight your entire formation, hold tab, and then move the formation up, holding control to tilt it so you face off against the enemy. Notice that the ground rises a little bit here. Make sure that doesn't obstruct your blunderbusses. We will want them to be positioned about here so they get all those amazing shots in. First, we're going to charge in and try to push those archers away. There's a nice shot those archers, which I will take because we don't want to get shot. Cool. Alright, let's move up. Astragoth is quite fast on his mechanical legs, so we'll set him up here to disrupt these archers. This allows us to move the rest of the formation up. Alright, let's get these blunderbusses to shoot into this melee and make the most of things. That was a terrible cast. It's normally not that inaccurate, jeez. Alright, so when you see the enemy running away, if you want to go for a bit more damage to yourself but get more captives, make sure this first settlement's an outpost and we need to start producing raw materials. We also want Gorduz Backstabber as soon as possible, so we will be building the Hobgoblin Mustering Camp. If you want to, you can fast track that to get in 1 turn earlier. Actually, you know what, we're changing the script. We did those fights, so we had a bit of extra labor. Let's rush the construction and get Gorduz 1 turn earlier. And let's get 2 Goblin Archers and 1 Dwarf Warrior. Make sure you get the shielded type. Now finally for diplomacy, you'll have the ability to sign a non-aggression with Clan Ferret, and I recommend doing it. We will break it later because we don't really want to go out here. We want to go into the Heartland and unite the Chaos Dwarf realms. So we can get $8, that'll do. Turn 2, and relatively straightforward, let's just attack the fort over here. Now on the battlefield, often I come in through this entrance here, and this allows you to kind of work your way up here, take a capture point, then move into the city. If you have your sneaky gits, if you're a great greenskin player and you're used to using your sneaky goblins, you can just, instead of the previous turn hiring these guys, you can hire some sneaky gits and try to capture this whole fortress relatively easy. A bit of fun, we're sending our bull centaurs around here to capture this point, and we're just going to move our units up close enough to start just taking shots and force them into us. If you do capture a point, just remember, keep your guys moving because they are getting shot at. We'll take down these towers. This is largely unnecessary, I'm mainly having fun here. As long as we shred the enemy army, we'll be fine. If you can get yourself a nice shot like this, you will really ruin the enemy. Setting your archers up. And just by having some fun and killing some stuff, you should get there. Keep in mind, you can do this completely flawless if you do sneak in the back with your sneaky gits and just capture the building while you are using your main force as a distraction. But this is what I wanted to do for a bit of fun. You have plenty of time to heal, don't even stress. So as long as you do that without losing anything, you'll be absolutely fine. Now because we built an outpost before, we built a factory. If you messed up last time, make sure you build the other. You certainly do not want 2 factories. That is a huge waste. So in the factory, you need to make sure you have the armament building. So we're going to sell that and then replace that with the building that generates armament. Hire another 3 archers and that will take your total goblins to 5. Since we're doing so much recruitment, we'll gain some benefit from having the recruitment edict, so switch that on and enjoy an extra 20% reduction. Turn 3, we can now build the armament building. Make sure you get that. If you already had it last turn, you're already 1 step ahead. Now we're going to move our main army over. While we could hire some of the sneaky units, we are going to be versing some vampires very soon, so instead let's hire another 3 goblin archers. Now this part is optional, but this will give you the ability to get more captives because currently the way the game is built, you gain more captives if you have a second lord engaged with the battle. They each have their own chance to gain captives, so you're essentially increasing those odds. So let's get a fire sorcerer because this will give us burning head, something we don't currently have on Astragoth himself. So let's just hire him, and next turn we'll also get Gorduz, so we're in a great position. Let's end the turn. And there we have Gorduz Backstabber. Join him immediately into Astragoth's army. You can pretty much auto-resolve the start of this campaign because this guy's healing. Now you can either do this turn or the previous turn, but these guys here can turn on you and it does leave you a little bit exposed. Now that's why we had the factory there, because we'll be able to build it up and defend this edge here, but have a look at these guys and what's their opinion of Grimgor. They like him more than hate him, so let's do something nice. Grimgor joined one of his wars. This is only going to stay peaceful for so long, and now these guys will like us maybe a little bit more, probably not a whole lot, but let's see if we can get them to join this war. Okay, so they're not interested at all, but these guys we are going to attack very, very soon, and their balance of power looks really bad, so they are ripe for the picking. So with that in mind, just always keep an eye on here. Now, we have made a second army, so if we do need, we could send that secondary army up here to guard this fort if you so need. You shouldn't need to, but it can happen. These guys can go hostile, and that will leave you very exposed, so we need to make sure we're not too exposed. Let's move all the way to the edge of this part here, and these guys will either go and attack them or they'll ruin drill up here for some reason. So let's move both of our lords here. By this time, you will easily have enough to upgrade this outpost. We're going to do that so we can build the gold production. You want lots of tier 2 outposts, one producing raw materials, the other producing gold. Even if you're not producing raw materials, just having outposts producing gold is a huge advantage to you economically. We can now also destroy the Goblin Recruitment Building because we're basically done for it. Just maybe consider having it if you see some naughty ogres looking to eye this territory off, and that's your turn. Turn 5, and now it's time to underway, and we're going to take the Silver Pinnacle. This will be an excellent defensive point here because it is a large capital that will easily defend us from most of the incursions here. So by virtue of taking this, it now almost stabilizes this kind of exposed flank here because we have the mountains, and this gives us a really great defensible point to end our territory on. So let's underway. We don't want to be so close that they can pull the garrison out to support. About there will do. That's great. And of course we would love to support this with our other lord. Just make sure you're not getting eyed off by these guys because they can turn on you in an instant. Now last time I forgot to do this. We should have switched off the recruitment and instead moved to labor to reduce our construction costs. And I'd love to build ourselves a barracks, but we can't afford it. So we've got a good stockpile of labor now. We've fought all our battles. Let's sell 200 laborers to get an extra 1500 gold, and that gives us enough to build a barracks. So build yourself a barracks. That'll build over the next few turns and you can end yours. Turn 6, and these guys will typically keep beating the crap out of each other, which is great for you because it softens both of your opponent. Take both of your armies out of underway stance, and now it's time to attack these guys. Getting a bit of cash with these guys will piss these guys off. Do we want that? Well, it turns out these guys are offering a decent price to join this war, so we're going to take that. Now, one thing about early undead armies is if they've lost their major units, which these guys have, you will easily dominate them in auto-resolve. If you have to fight them in the field, it's not too bad because we deliberately stacked ourselves full of archers which shoot fire as well as a fire caster, so you should be well and truly equipped. We're just going to auto-resolve this. Of course, take the labor. It's pretty hard to say no to the labor. It does so much for you. Now, either this turn or next turn, there will typically be a convoy around here, so we're going to attack these guys. Now, I don't like attacking major factions of Cathay. If this is one of the Dragon Lords, don't attack them. It's you can do it, but it might not be worth it. But if they're a minor faction, just go for it. Take their gold. It's definitely worth the hassle. We attack these guys. It should be an easy auto-resolve. Yep. We lost the labourer. I'm not too worried. And let's take, in this case, the gold is much more valuable to us. And that has got us financially bankrolled. Now, if you don't get them this turn, they will be there roughly next turn. Let's take this capital, move your second lord up, and we can auto-resolve that for another easy win. Now, normally, I don't really like increasing my conclaves. Now, normally I don't like spending conclave influence too early, simply because we can really use this quite effectively to get more skills on the skill tree of the Tower of Zharr. But what we can do here is a trick I like to do is the very first one you get to tier 2 because we can get our sorcerers on the field, which means they start getting levels, and powerful sorcerers mean a very powerful military, especially the Chaos Dwarf characters. They're on par with high elves, demigods. Let's get them on there, get them the levels they need to get those mounts, and they can rain hell down from above. We're also quite close to being able to get 2 of them because of our technology tree here. We've got an extra bull. Now all we need to do once we have that is 3 more turns. We will be able to hire 2 Demon Smith sorcerers. Now we set up our main army as a good powerhouse with some good range and some good melee. The secondary army, we can have some fun. We can recruit hobgoblins. Let's hire 3 hobgoblin cutthroats. This will be our stealthy reinforcing army that can hit from the back. If we have to fight Imric, this is an excellent way to devastate high elves. Ruin their archers, you ruin the high elves. Now this is a 4 settlement province, so we want to accept new labor. Make sure you do that. You do want new labor coming in and populating this up because this will be the heart of your economy. This is such a valuable province, and that's why we've rushed this as soon as we possibly could. Build the donation barrel. Excellent building. You want one of these at all of your capitals. Just a great in-source of gold, and your outpost will carry you the rest of the way. Now what we'll do is move Astragoth up, and he's still in our territory, so he's still able to replenish, but he wouldn't get there in the next turn, so let's do that. And being turn 7, we can now access our Demon Smith sorcerers. This is why we used our conclave influence to level up that main building, and also we can upgrade our construction here We're going to pay 180 labor, which isn't too much of our pool, and this allows us to start construction on our upgraded mine, giving us even more raw materials. Super important because raw materials also generate the buildings that will increase your armament output eventually. But this is the most important one. Do not underestimate getting a money pit. Really great for every single one of your mines. Just make sure you save enough money because we're about to take over and build this area up. Ah, crap. We knew that was happening. Now, here's the thing though. Grimgor should attack them around now as well, so he's exposed. We'll see how this shakes out. So we've now started turn 8. Now when they do attack pretty hard. So what we need to make sure is that hopefully Grimgor will attack them and make them retreat, but that doesn't always happen, so we need to prepare for that. So how do we deal with that? We're going to just take Astragoth and then force march back here. This will slow you down ever so slightly, but you need to do what you need to do to protect your king. Before you move him back though, there will often be a caravan here. Make sure that you take advantage, and if you need to get a bit closer with Astragoth to reinforce, to take that caravan out. This one is in reinforcement range of the Silver Pinnacle, so we're going to... They're another minor faction. Let's beat them up and take their money. Three sneaky gits in here, so this is basically just an honor guard for him, and then the sneaky gits can take the lead from there. Now we're going to force march up here, and we'll hire yet another lord to help guard from this edge here. Also, our barracks is finished, so we can hire an infernal castellan, and our research is also finished, allowing us to hire our second bull centaur Torok. Now, as for our technology, we would like yet another Demonsmith Sorcerer. Now, if you manage to take down some convoys, you have over 5,000 gold, then go for the caravan. If not, hold off. So there's 3 main locations I like to go to first. Castle Drazhoath will give you regeneration. Alright, over the end turn, they actually did it. So this is the worst case scenario. It's a low chance of it happening. Alright, and on the battlefield, all we need to do is find one area where we can get 2 towers. So as usual, the towers will do most of the heavy lifting. We're just aiming to do this. So I mainly want to show you this trick here. Around this corner, there we go. There we go, see that back is still exposed? That's exactly what we needed. Okay, we can choose the towers to fire right in these middle of these gaps. We're doing the damage. Oh, they gotta be feeling that. Particularly gunfire units, you sometimes need to make them shoot, even though they've got good targets. You just have to give them that gentle reminder. What are you guys doing? Oh, we managed to get a shot into these archers. Can't miss now. Alright, so these guys have shields, so they're at least screening the enemy. Well, that one's maybe touch and go whether you win or not. If you don't win it, you can easily recapture the next turn, because either way you will absolutely devastate their army with that tactic. And they've gone for it again, and we will auto-resolve that to wipe their armies out. Okay, start of turn 9, we have a caravan that's come up this way. I said I'd show all the clean and dirty tricks, and this is one of them. So we're going to hire, let's get a Death Lord, and we're going to put him right here. And if we hop into the castle and out of it again, we can now attack him because he was in the zone of control of the settlement, and then use our settlement's garrison to win this battle. It costs us, what, say 1,000 to hire, and we've just made an absolute boatload of cash. Now we have enough raw materials to upgrade our main drill in our capital, and you absolutely should do that. It provides more raw materials as well as armaments, but also the efficiency for your workforce from this building is just very exceptional. Also is exceptional are the resource buildings, namely gold and marble. Timber is also good. If you can get these, get them. It looks like they're just regular armaments. They're not. they will also do it at a fraction of the cost. So we're going to keep this guy here for the revolt that is absolutely pending, and then we're going to move a secondary lord up here and place the heroes inside, like so. Also now have enough armaments to get ourselves another unit of Chaos Dwarf warriors, which we will hire in this army. Now Astragoth, on the other hand, we can move right to the edge of the border here. You can use Doom and Darkness in the Law of Death to basically break the enemy sooner, so once they're running, you can take them as captives. Alright, so turn 10, and now what we're going to do first is move this army up. Let's give all of the troops into this lord here. We'd get double the labor, so we will bring this lord down here. So we've got 3 lords there, and you'll see what that does in just a moment. We now have Astragoth on the front line. Of course, always increasing that replenishment with Gorduz Backstabber. And these guys are at war with the Overlords, an undiscovered faction. We'll just have to attack them the old-fashioned way. When in doubt, go outposts. Almost always, because outposts can at least produce gold. A factory that's not doing anything really isn't doing much for you. Now, you might think we want to get the gold mine first, but here we're actually going to get the raw materials. The reason being is that we can upgrade our main buildings as well as upgrade these gold production buildings by using those raw materials. So we've got a decent enough stockpile from raiding caravans that we can afford to do this, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now also we can finally hire these sorcerers. Let's do it down here, and we're going to get 1 of death. This will be used to rout the enemy, and 1 more turn we can get another sorcerer and we'll make that one fire. Turn 11. Okay, we're going to switch these guys all at a force march, moving them both up, and let's take them out. And while the enemy's fighting here, we can just sneak through, take some capture points. But here's the tip, make sure that they all step on at the same time. And there we go, 109 labor and 201 that we get from this battle. And there wasn't even that many units in there, so yeah. When you stack lords, you can stack your odds. And now you can make your way towards the next settlement. I do see some beastmen here, and I do know we can beat them up, so let's just do it. And we'll just auto-resolve that for a nice bit of experience. And here we can hop into ambush stance and still make it into our own territory. Now we need to increase our income because the money is a bit lacking, so let's upgrade our gold building. Also, because you built that tower earlier, guess what? We now have unlocked his first legendary item, and that's purely because when we took this settlement over, we padded up to tier 2 and we built the Demon Smith Sorcerer building. For our next bit of research, labor quotas. 5% for all armies, and after that, get this, +4 melee defense for all your Chaos Warriors is invaluable. And now we have the Tower of Zharr. There are 2 that you need to get before anyone else. One is this, which I do value as high priority, and the other one is this, the armaments at extra 25 per turn. Let's get that as quickly as possible. I'm just going to dive in here and just fast track the next few turns. Essentially all we're doing is just pushing south, making sure that we're defended from the west. Now you might get a few rebellions, you are more than capable of taking care of them. You have no supply lines with your additional lords, and as you can see, all we're doing is getting Astragoth, getting into his unique level 12 skill tree where you can power up those bull centaurs, which is something you can now start looking like you should invest in. And there's not really too much more point going on from here, because what we've given you is exactly what I wanted to give you, which was basically 2 full provinces. One of them is a 4 settlement province, and this will be your economic heart. You can decide to throw a factory in place of one of these. It'll lessen the labor requirement, but the truth is that you can get labor quite easily. So the buildings that increase the efficiency and lower the workload really aren't as useful as you think. You need lots of raw materials, and that's what these provide you, as well as gold to support your armies. Probably we build another factory in the next province when we expand down, but where you go next is completely up to you. You might get attacked by Grimgor, and that will take your efforts this way. This time we got attacked by Ungrim Iron Fist, so we will need to raise another army. I'd say do it here because this one has walls, this one doesn't, and look at expanding this way, but we can quickly take this bottom settlement. If you want, you can take the fight to Clan Rictus. Don't attack these guys, just confederate them later. Make contact with Drazhoath, and the cool thing is if you work your way across this way, you can connect your lands with Zhatan, and if you can do those things, your campaign is absolutely set. And even if you wanted to here, you could build up an army Even send Gorduz Backstabber over here and make a crack army of hobgoblins, and then send them here to try to take out Grimgor. I've given you a stack of heroes. They have god tier heroes. You've got not just Gorduz, but you have 2 Bull Taurochs, 2 Sorcerers, as well as a Infernal Castellan. You are absolutely chock-a-block, and these guys are quickly amassing levels, and soon you'll be completely unstoppable. Please like and sub, it really helps out. This is Alvin, I'll see you next time.